Welcome to the Anxiety Ridden Moms Club, the podcast where two moms, each with her own unique style, come together to navigate the wild ride of motherhood, careers, and anxiety. I'm Kylie.
And I'm Gina. There was a time when Kylie and I were direct competitors in corporate America and had different perspectives on growing our careers while managing life and all the things that come with it. But those differences have only made our friendship and our insights richer.
I like to call it trauma bonded, Gina. What started out as a difference of opinions evolved into a genuine connection. Our journey from varied viewpoints to a supportive friendship has taught us that every approach has its own strength.
Now, as co-hosts and best friends, we blend generations of wisdom with fresh, modern ideas to explore the challenges, joys, and yes, even the anxieties of being career moms.
So whether you're a seasoned pro or just stepping into the wild world of parenting, a new career, or new relationships, join us as we share stories, offer advice, and sometimes even overthink it all together.
Grab your favorite cup of tea or coffee and settle in. Welcome to the Anxiety Ridden Moms Club.
Welcome back to the Anxiety Ridden Moms Club, the podcast where we unpack motherhood, anxiety, relationships, and all the messy, beautiful in-betweens. I'm Kylie.
And I'm Gina. Today we're talking about something we hear all the time. It takes a village, but what if you don't have one? Or what if the village you thought you had disappeared?
Or what if your village is just you, spiraling in your car in a Target parking lot? We've both been there.
Oh, absolutely. And we want to have a real conversation today about what building your village actually looks like in today's world, where a lot of us are isolated, overwhelmed, or just too anxious to ask for help.
Let's start here. Our moms or grandmas probably had more built-in community, neighbors dropping by, extended family living close, but now?
Now we're in different cities, working full-time, raising kids without family nearby. And the idea of knocking on your neighbor's door feels like a social risk.
Yeah, it really does. It's no wonder so many of us feel alone, even when we're technically not alone. And when you add in the pressure to do it all yourself, cue the anxiety spiral.
Yep. And let's be real. We often don't ask for help. As I've always told you guys, I don't ask for help because we're afraid of being judged or being seen as not capable or feeling like a burden.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
I always feel like a burden. That's my problem. I don't like to bother people.
And for me, it's more, are they going to think that I'm weak or I can't handle it? And,
yes.
You know. So anyway, what does village really mean? Because it's not just people who babysit for free or bring you a casserole when you have a baby.
Although if you got a good casserole, you can bring me one.
Me too. I'll take a good casserole. Anytime.
It's the friend who answers your unhinged text at midnight. The coworker who knows when you're having a day and covers for you. The mom at school pickup who gives you a look that says, same girl.
Sometimes your village is a group chat. Sometimes it's your therapist. Sometimes it's your mom, or it may be a boundary with your mom. And for anyone listening, we're hoping that we can be your village.
Right. That would be awesome.
To let us in.
Yeah.
You know?
I love helping others.
Me too. We're here for you for whatever stage of life you're in. And if you are lacking a village, that's what Gina and I are here for. We want to be your village.
Right. We might roll our eyes at mom groups, but those strangers on Reddit at 3 a.m. help me through some rough nights.
Hey, as we started this podcast, there's so much of the promoting ourselves and the podcast. And to be honest with you, it feels a little out of the norm for me. Just talking about ourselves and flooding people's feeds and all of the things, because I have this guy sitting on my shoulder saying, quit being annoying. Like, if they want to follow, they'll follow. If they want to listen, they'll listen. But everything and the research we've done talks about, like, just keep doing it, keep posting, because algorithms and different things are crazy. But, Gina, my boss, put some pressure on me sometimes. No, she's like, where are our downloads at? Like, come on, what's happening? And I learned the best through karma, I feel like. And so I was not making fun of, but I was having maybe some judgy thoughts about TikTok and these women on there, the mom follow party. So with TikTok, and again, any socials that we do is literally just to get this podcast out there, because we want to help as many people as we can. So if we're annoying, drop us a comment and tell us, because we don't know what you see, what you don't see, what you're loving, what you're not loving. So we would love nothing more than feedback. But on TikTok, there's a movement of moms. And not just moms, but content creators. You have to have 1,000 followers to get into the content creator program. Mm-hmm. And so, and the content creator program means that you can post links and earn commission on different things like that. And again, that is not our goal. Our goal is to be seen and heard by as many people as possible, and to help and relate to as many people as possible. And you do that through followers. So, I had some unhealthy thoughts about these, they're calling them mom follow parties. And so they get on there and they have these videos and it's like, mom follow party. And if you comment where you're from and how many kids you have, then anyone that likes your comment, you go and follow and they follow you back. So it's really cool way of moms supporting moms. And, in turn, you're each building your followers and different things. So within a couple of days, I had these thoughts like, God, these are so annoying. Why do these get on my page? To now I'm a part of like 10 mom follow parties. So it's the online stuff. So when you say we roll your eyes at mom groups, they're out there. But I do think there's a lot of good help within that. And moms learn from other moms.
Right.
And if you're not as fortunate as like I am with my mom down the road, and not down the road, there's one house literally in between, my mom and I. But if you're not fortunate of that and online's what you have, there is some really good content out there. And so get out there and then follow some moms, starting with us. We're here for you. Message, comment, email, whatever it is.
I think that's the thing, though, is I think that sometimes when we hear the mom groups, you do kind of think, oh, okay, what's going on over here? But I think as we've even been going through this, the more you realize, like, they are really some cool groups. I mean, and I think that there are a lot of, one of the things I think at some point we'll probably obviously really discuss is women supporting women. And why is it that our first initiation of anything to do with like your initial reaction to a mom's group is like, oh God, what is this? Or we got to go to this party and it's just a bunch of girls. Oh my God. Right. It's kind of stressful when you think about it. And it's because I think we always feel like, are we going to be judged? It all goes back to all the things we talk about when you're kids and you feel judged and you worry and you stress out. And what games are they going to rope you into?
That's true. I know at baby showers, they're like, oh my God, we're going to play games.
Yes.
I kind of like the games. I guess I don't like, I like the Game Show Network and I like games, but whatever.
But I do think that having these things actually it's even opened my eyes to, I wish I would have had it when I was younger. I would have joined some of those groups, because some of these groups that we have found, I think are cool, and they can really give you that village if you don't have family close by, that you have somebody else that's maybe going through certain things in life that you're going through, talking to each other, helping each other, finding your group of people.
Yeah. And that is one thing I will say, and that I really enjoy about TikTok. And I've said it before, is just, there are some content creators out there that just make me laugh, and you're like, oh my God, you're a hot mess, but it's relatable. Mm-hmm. It's so relatable. And you're like, I am so sick and tired of seeing the perfect little families and the perfect little posts and the perfect, you know what I mean? So like, I really enjoy the ones that just, you get to see the good, bad, the ugly, or they get on camera without makeup.
Mm-hmm. Right. I told Gina when, during this podcast, I'm like, if we record on a Saturday, like I don't wear bras on Saturdays, but you've got people online just showing it and telling it like it is. And then I find comfort in that. That makes me, I think that's given me the confidence to kind of break out on our own. Cause it's like, yes.
If Susie can just lay by the pool and talk shit and like people are here for it, then maybe we do have something to offer, you know? So it is. It's a blessing and a curse. So anyway, building your village starts with, I think, letting people in, and whether that be however that may be, you know, it's really freaking hard. And especially when you've been burned or ghosted or just trained to handle everything yourself for sure. Yeah. And you know, what did your village look like? Because like I said, my mom lives a house down, and Wyatt, we talked about in the last episode, was born premature. And so he was immunocompromised. And so he couldn't go to daycare for the first year of his life. And let me tell you about my village. Between my mom has 2 sisters, and I have 2 sister-in-laws that have been around for a long time. It took every single person. I had to work. I carried the insurance, and working was not an option for me. And these people, it started with my aunts going to the house when we found out that I wasn't coming home without a baby. And that was never my intent when I went to the hospital that day, because I was only 29 weeks. They, were cleaning and setting up cribs and, all kinds of things while I was in the hospital. But then for the first year of my son's life, he couldn't go to daycare. So it was a text on Sunday night saying, who can take Wyatt this week? And my God, I probably didn't tell them enough, but without them, I don't know what we would have done. They stepped up in a big way between like I said, my aunts and my sister-in-laws and family and other friends. And that's, I live in a small town, so we're all super close in proximity and different things. But your parents live out of town. So what did your village look like?
So, well, my parents lived out of town when I had Kylie. So I didn't have them around during that time. But when I had Austin, I did. And luckily at that time I did, because since he was colicky and he threw up all the time, when I was looking for daycares, they kept telling me, well, people are going to think your child's sick all the time, and then we're going to have a problem with other parents thinking the kid's over there throwing up, and it was going to cause them problems. So then I thought, oh, okay, well, I can't not work. I have to work. So luckily I could go part-time. So I kind of changed what I was doing at my job that I was at. I just changed a little bit up of what I was doing there, so that way I could work 3 days a week. And my mom took him during that time. And if I wouldn't have had that, I really don't know what I would have done, because literally nobody wanted him. And it didn't feel very comfortable, or didn't know anybody very well in the area, because I'm not from the St. Louis area. So I had very limited as far as friendships or other. So I would have just had to stop working. I would have been in a bind. During him, realistically, all I had was the fact that my parents did help me, but I didn't have anybody else. So just like when, I shared with before in regards to, I had a coworker that helped me when he was colicky when I was at home, and continued on probably till he was done screaming all the time, which is about 4 months. But other than that, I really didn't have anybody. And with Kylie, I think because I didn't have anybody with Austin, I didn't ask for anything. My parents weren't around, and I would have never asked anybody else to help me. I just did what I had to do. And she was a good baby, luckily, and didn't have all those problems. So she was easy and all that. And I had actually some friends that lived across the street, and they had someone who watched their daughter. And so I met her, and she was wonderful. She became like a grandma to my daughter. So it was really, at least since my parents weren't here, kind of gave her a grandma to go visit every day. And so I was very happy. So I got very lucky, and they definitely became a lot to do with our family. We became extremely close to them. But my husband his family also, we live probably 45 minutes away from them, and his parents they weren't around even at that time. They had both passed away. So we didn't have them either. And, siblings, they work and have their jobs. So you kind of are limited when you get into those situations. And then if you don't have friends or other people who can even recommend where to put your child, that also adds a whole other aspect of anxiety during the entire thing. So my village was always kind of small, but I'm thankful for any help I ever got from anyone throughout the entire time. And I'm not good about asking for help, which is why I will tell everybody all day long, don't do what I did. Do what I'm telling you to do. Get a village. Find your friends, find your people. If you are newer to a city, I probably should have found my mom's groups at that point in time. It just wasn't that easy to find. We didn't have all these different social media, even things. There wasn't as much going on. And now that there are, I think that that's where these moms groups are important. I think it's extremely important, and I wish I would have had it. There's a vulnerability to saying, I'm not okay. Can you help? It's not weakness. It's bravery.
Say that again, because for a lot of us, asking for help feels like failure. But in reality, it's one of those strongest things that we can do as moms. And, you and I spent a lot of years as mom bosses. And it was one of the toughest parts of managing people. Attendance is important, and you've got a business to run. And in order to successfully run a business, you need people to show up. But, my last job, I was there for 15 years. So a lot of these people, I knew their stories and I knew their backgrounds, and I knew that their mom passed away when they were little and they moved 1,000 miles away for whatever reason, and it's just them. And so you've got the pressure of these corporations that have attendance policies that are strict and different things like that. But then people are calling you and saying, my kid's sick and I don't know what to do. And you have to, it's a constant balancing act to just, you want to hold people accountable. And again, you have a business to run, but also you want to be human. You want to be human, and you want to, you understand and you recognize. And I don't know how some of these people do it without a village, because even to this day, if I'm, I work from home and have a little bit of flexibility, but if school calls that a kid's sick and I have a conference call scheduled, like I call my mom, I call someone in my village. And there are so many people out there that don't have that. And I really don't know how they manage being, working moms or single moms or all of the above, or single dads out there, whatever it may be. It's so important to find your people, and shout out to those that are doing it by themselves, because girlfriend, I don't know how you do it, but you're doing amazing, and we're here for you.
Right. I mean, you have to really, I think a lot of people have to give thought to, who belongs in their village. And so you definitely want to look towards family first if you have that supportive family. And it's not always just because you don't live close. Maybe it's just you don't have that supportive of a family, or maybe they're just not able to help you in certain ways. Look to any close friends, and definitely for sure look to other fellow moms, because they were going to be the ones to give you that advice and tell you who else can help you, or who they know that they trust, and try to build your village, one piece at a time, so that you have that support, because there's going to be moments that you need a break. And you need help.
Yeah. And real talk, building a village also means protecting it. And not everyone gets access to you, your energy, your kids, or your trust. And that is so freaking scary too. Like, it is hard to be a mom. One of the territories, it's about 2 hours from where I live now, but there was a recent story of a child at daycare, and he was autistic, and I believe he was 4. Don't quote me on that, but I believe he was 4. And it came out that at the daycare, one of the workers had put a very, very, very heavy weighted blanket on him, and he wouldn't lay down for his nap. So she, on top of the blanket, put her legs. And when the mom got there to pick her son up hours and hours later, no one had checked on him, and he was found deceased. And it shook a whole community. It shook a lot of moms. You're trusting someone with your life every time you drop them off, whether it's, a licensed daycare, because that happens too.
Right.
And that it was a licensed daycare, and there's actually, it's out there, and I signed a petition for it, but it's called Conrad's Law. And it's that every daycare or childcare facility has cameras.
Yes.
And I think that is huge, but this poor mom is just trying to support her family and go to work and do the right thing, and she comes back to find her child deceased, and I can't
even imagine.
I can't wrap my head around it. I can probably say I might end up in jail if something like that happened. Like it just, these babies are our lives, and the fact of the matter is they're not. They're just, sometimes they're just a number to somebody else, or they're just another fee that they make per month, and you're handing your kid off to someone else. And then that goes both ways. There are people that have quit their jobs and been stay-at-home moms because they don't trust anyone to be,
right.
with their kids. And so it's finding a balance. And how do you know if you can trust the people that you're dropping your kid off with every day just to go make a living, you know?
Well, and I think that's like when Austin was young, the daycare, he had to go to a daycare after he was about 8 months. I, stopped having my mom have to be responsible, regularly to help me. And so at that time, at least they did have a daycare that was able to have the cameras at the, and that was a big deal to me. I went to a lot of other places, and I would get a vibe real quick whether, this isn't going to happen. I went through a lot of daycares before I picked the one that I would put him in. And at least I felt like if I can throughout the day peek in on somebody, made me feel better. Or even if like when I went to go pick them up, you could go into this one room and look on the camera to see what they're doing before you entered into the room. So, you kind of knew what was going on. And it just gave me definitely peace of mind to put him in a brick and mortar daycare, licensed daycare. And then I had the complete opposite with my daughter where I put her at somebody's home, but she was literally grandma's house ultimately. And I did know, like I said, a very close friend had her daughter there and how it went. And you just knew you were in a good place. But I think nowadays with some of the stories that I've heard and the tragedies that have gone on that are so sad, I definitely don't think I would put a child somewhere that didn't have cameras anymore. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think like, you go to a doggy daycare, they have cameers everywhere. You can watch a dog all day long.
That is so true.
You know what I mean?
That is
and then
so
you go
true.
to some places, and so all you, pet mamas, you watch that puppy dog all day long. You get on that camera, and you should be able to have that right to do that with your child for sure.
That's so funny because when Wyatt was in the NICU, you have to, there are certain boxes you have to check in order for them to go home. Mm-hmm. And, obviously one of them, because he, had a feeding tube that we would use if he was born so early. And so some of those sucking and different things come later in the development of the baby. And so some of those things like he didn't have. And so he had to take bottles for so many days, by himself and not take any of it. So we would feed him via a bottle. Mm-hmm. And then if he would get tired or he would have a bradycardia where all the alarms and bells and whistles go off, they would finish his feeding via a feeding tube. And so he had to drink his bottle, I don't know if it was like a week straight on his own, no assistance, whatever. And there was a night nurse. And I'm sure she was, I have my own thoughts, but let's say for the sake of this, that she was super busy that night and whatever the case may be, she charted that she fed him through. She didn't attempt a bottle. And we were on like day 6 and we had to get to day 7 for him to go home after 2 months in the NICU. Mm-hmm. And she had charted that she fed him via his feeding tube. And we had to then kind of reset and start from scratch. And I'm like, I wish I would have had a camera in there because I'm telling you, she didn't even try to feed him via a bottle. And I don't know, but that was just my emotional self thinking at that time. And then from there on out, we did not leave him by himself. Mm-hmm. So we made sure around the clock that someone, and again, shout out to my mom, my aunts, my cousins, my grandma even, God rest her soul, but everybody took time and had certain days that they spent with Wyatt in the NICU. So he was never, ever by himself just because we had to meet those goals. We had to get home. I remember the car seat test. I was sitting on the floor because with preemies, sometimes they just forget to breathe. Mm-hmm. And so he had to sit in a car seat for 4 minutes and typically it happens when they fall asleep or in a deep sleep and then they forget to breathe and then their heart rate goes down and whatever. And I would sit there and like I was watching him, but I would rock that damn car seat. Mm-hmm. If he started to fall asleep, because I'm like, kid, we are so close to getting out of this place to making a jailbreak. Like, you gotta pass this test. But cameras would have been
Wonderful.
Because then you don't have to wonder. And from a daycare provider perspective, also being on the business side of things is accidents happen and things happen. You know, nothing gets on my nerves more as when a kid is with whomever is caring for them throughout the day, and then the parent wants to place blame on accidents happening that would happen to anyone. You know what I mean? Like, what happened to that knot on his head? Well, how does that happen? Well, he's starting to walk. So whether he's at your house or Tom, Dick, and Harry's house, it doesn't matter.
Right.
He fell. And I think cameras would help provide all of that, because you can check in and see whatever that, you know what I mean? Like, I think that it would help. It would go both ways. So I don't really understand daycare facilities not wanting them or not having them. If you've got all your ducks in a row, it shouldn't be an issue.
Right.
So Wyatt stayed with family, and then Nora, I was so lucky, and she would tell everybody today how much she loved Dee Dee's house, and we had someone that, you know, became another grandma. Dee Dee and Roger, her husband, and again to this day, Nora adores them, and they were the best, but they came to us via referral. Mm-hmm. And Dee Dee's always full, so that whole.
Yeah.
It's hard, man. It is hard. And then the cost.
Yep.
Dee Dee was very reasonable. And I don't know how some of these people pay.
Yes.
And I think that you were fortunate. You were fortunate to get to be picky choosy, because, you know, your finances allowed that. And some people don't have that. Mm-hmm. And how do you weed that out? How do you know who you're leaving your kid with? It is
It's hard. It's very, very difficult. It's hard. And I mean, that's why it does help. If you at least have some form of a village that is surrounding you for certain things, I think it just makes it that much better to, you know, just finding the right places to put your kids and feel comfortable. You know, normalize outsourcing, normalize leaning on people. You're still the mom. You're still amazing. Having a village doesn't make you less. It makes you human.
Follow your gut. If you feel something's not right or something's off, it probably is. And maybe whom you're leaving your kid with, maybe it's not a them issue. Maybe it's just that you guys don't vibe well, or whatever the case may be. But you have to have a bond with these people that you're leaving your kid with, and you have to trust them. You have to trust them with every part of your body. And unfortunately, sometimes we do, and sometimes we're wrong. And you know, God forbid tragedy strikes. Hopefully that's not the case. But gosh, there's been just so many stories in the news, I feel like, over the last year, of shit going wrong at daycares. And you know,
that's what makes it scary and stressful when we're trying to figure this all out. And sometimes, you know, you definitely just have to have faith and trust and just pray when you go to work.
And I trust my mom with my entire life, soul, heart, all of the things. Mm-hmm. And I hope she doesn't get mad at me for throwing this out there, but she watches kids all of the time. And I've mentioned before, there is one house in between my mom and I, so it's not far. Uh-huh. But kids can be little assholes. Oh. And so there have been times where they're outside playing and she runs into Switch, you know, she would never leave them outside by themselves or whatever it may be. But one like sneaks away. So I'm like laying on the couch and somebody's like, Aunt Kylie. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? What are you doing? And then I call my mom. I'm like, did you know? And she was like, oh my God, get them back here. But like I said, I trust her with everything that I've got. But kids they're little, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're sneaky.
They're sneaky. So it is so hard. It is so hard. But anyway, let's, you know, we want to hear from you guys. Share a moment when your village came through, or when you really needed one and you didn't have one. We want to hear from you, and we want to hear your story.
Right. It's just like, you know, I had that coworker that came over to my house, and, you know, it's just having those people come over. Maybe a friend brought food. Partner stepped up. Maybe a stranger showed some kindness.
You've definitely got me thinking that coworker that you've talked about. That's just, I think that I could do more for the people around me and my inner circle, just to show up for them and be there for them. And whether it's a new baby, whether it's a new job, just a new chapter in their lives, I need to do a better job of stepping up for the people that are important for me, because this last year, it's been no secret that it hasn't been a cakewalk for me. And some people, including you, have really stepped up in a big way for me. And I definitely want to return the favor to some people around me. So I want to be a village for others, for sure.
Yes. And I think we all need to be mindful of that and make sure that you reach out to, people that are getting ready to start that family or having stress going on, no matter what it may be. There's obviously definitely more stressors in life than just having children. So, offer that you're there, even if it is setting a date. I can do it on this day. Like, this is when I can help you. It doesn't make any difference. I think all those things matter.
Or keep reaching out, even if they don't respond to every text. And I am the worst at texting. I will either read something and it'll be in the middle of something at work and then forget to respond. Or recently I have typed out a big long response and forgot to hit send. And then when I go back like 2 days later, I'm like, oh my gosh, I never responded. So, just keep reaching out. Keep reaching out to people, even if they don't respond right away. It's most likely not because they hate you. It's because they're distracted or something's else on their mind. Or I'll text my mom and I won't get a response, and then I'll call her and she'll be like, oh, and I'll be like, where are you? I remember a time when, my mom wasn't my best friend, and now,
right,
if she doesn't answer my text in 5 minutes, I'm calling or sending the troops to find my mom. Yep. But it's because, somebody was watching something on her phone, and I'm like, well, I thought you were dead. I thought you were dead. So anyway.
So here's your reminder today. You deserve a village, not because you can't do it alone, but because you shouldn't have to.
For sure. And whether your village is one person or 10, online or in person, blood or chosen family, you're allowed to lean on them. And if you don't have one yet, we're here. We see you.
And don't be afraid to build your village one little step at a time. It might look different than you imagined, but it can still be beautiful.
All right, mamas, thanks for being a part of our village. If this episode hit home, share it with your friend and leave us a review. It helps other moms find us.
And if you've got a story about your village or your lack of one, send it our way. We'd love to feature some listener voices in an upcoming episode. Until next time, deep breaths, mama.
You've got this. And also follow us on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok at the ARMC. Our next episode is going to be all about the toddler days, so you won't want to miss it. You can absolutely email us at the ARMC 2025. So the THEARMC 2025 at gmail.com. We would love to hear from you.
If no one's told you lately, let me be the one to say it. You're not failing, you're growing. You're not broken, you're becoming. And you're doing better than you think.
Thanks for being here today. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love if you'd subscribe, leave a review, or share it with another mom who might need to hear this. You can also connect with us on Facebook or TikTok at the ARMC. We'd love to hear your story.
Until next time, give yourself grace, breathe deep, and remember, peace is possible.